Hello everybody, 'tis I, the Rumpled One. I just got finished watching a video and they were talking about, or they asked the question, are professional athletes overpaid and are teachers underpaid? Well, I mean, once again, knee-jerk reaction, yeah. Well, guess what? Not quite. Let's break it down. Apples and oranges. Athletes are pretty much in a free market, free market enterprise. Nobody's got a gun to their head. If they're good, they get offered a salary. Now, of course, there's a union involved, and that kind of messes things up. But, the athlete can either say, you know what, I don't think you're paying me enough money, so I'm not going to play for you. Well, then they don't get to play. So they are getting paid what the market will bear. Of course, they think they want more, that the owners are greedy, but unfortunately or fortunately, that's not the case. So if somebody thinks they're worth more money, well, then they don't get the contract, so then they don't get any money. And look, on the other hand, with teachers, they're part of the government bureaucracy. And we all know governments are really inefficient. So, are they paid enough? Well, they, talk about garbage men. Are they paid enough? You see, bottom line is, everybody is paid enough. Now, you might think that that sounds like crazy, but it's real simple. In a free society, if nobody's got a gun to your head, then you're free to choose to take that job at the wage that's offered. So there's no reason to put a gun at the employer's head saying you got to pay more for that job than what it's really worth. So next thing is, well, then workers are being exploited. No, workers aren't being exploited. You see, this goes back to using English imprecisely, because English is an imprecise language. See, got one of my favorite books here, How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World by Harry Brown. And he talks about this in his Freedom from Exploitation chapter. He says that, working conditions during the Industrial Revolution are frequently cited as evidence men, women, and children were supposedly forced to work in terrible conditions for little pay. Again, the question to be asked is, why did they permit it? Why did they work in such miserable conditions? The only conceivable answer is they wanted to. Now stop and think about that for a minute. The only conceivable answer is they wanted to. Once again, nobody had a gun to their head forcing them. So, they had a choice. Life is choices. Choose wisely. So they chose to work in, I guess, horrible conditions for little pay so they could survive. Now, you say, well, that's evil, that's wrong. No, that's market, because, see, somebody was willing to work for that pay. Somebody was willing to work in those conditions. So am I saying, oh, well, that's fair? Well, life isn't fair. I mean, it's just that simple. So, if you're a business person and you think that you should have better conditions, well then run your business that way. If you're a worker and you think there should be better conditions, well then, find a place that has better conditions. But, using the force of government, which is the same things that gangs use, is guns and coercion, they're the ones that put the guns to our heads and saying, you have to do this. So, no, teachers aren't overpaid and they're not underpaid. They're paid what they are, what the market says they're worth. Now, in the school system, it's inefficient. You got all this administration, you got all this stuff that has nothing to do with reading, writing, arithmetic, and phys ed. It's just a waste of money, my opinion. But, it's just something you have to look at. So the point is that no, the market's going to pay what the market pays. If You don't want the job. If you think it's underpaid, you don't take it. If you take the job, then do the best you can, and then maybe you'll earn more money. But to think that you're underpaid, no, that's the going rate for that job. And especially in today's economy, if you don't want it, look behind you. I'm sure there's a few people would be more than happy to be underpaid at that job. So people, life is choices. Choose wisely, and wake up, America. Smell the hypocrisy.